Again, this is why I love doing what I do, because I keep getting inundated with recommendations, and this one's no exception, so let's talk about it. Covered in Black by Anubis Gate, which isn't to be confused with Anubis that I've already covered. Anubis Gate is one of those progressive metal acts that kind of originated in the 80s but never really got any traction. Their first album came out actually in like 2004 with Persecution, something along those lines. I guess part of the reason why I never really heard about these guys, they never really broke through the critical acclaim. Like, I never really heard about these guys until fans of the band came at me and said, you need to listen to this. And so we come to Covered in Black, the album that they released back in October. And I'm really enjoying what I'm hearing here. It is that progressive metal that's very modern, I guess I could say. Like, they're not really breaking any new ground. They're not really trailblazing into a new dimension of music. The album does kick off pretty heavy and pretty strong with Psychotopia. Right from the get-go, it's got that powerhouse, that really meaty hooks. And that lead singer of Henrik Fevres, and I think I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, he is just able to really capture that spirit and really like grab onto it and just belt it out into the night. And even though I haven't really, submerged myself in the concept, I still can feel it. Like, it's got that very Middle Eastern essence on here, and I really enjoy that. Like, I really like the sounds that are on here, especially within that second track of the new Delhi Assassination. Starts off almost with, like, that sitar kind of sound. That presentation really brought me into the album. That new Delhi Assassination being very, almost mellow near the end, where you have that kind of ebb and flow, going straight into Combat being a very heavy track. And so again, that weaving of music, and it isn't until I actually look down on the track listing to find out where I am have I realized that I've already kind of listened to 3 songs when I still kind of consider it just one piece. Within the 4th track of Too Much Time, this is where that passion of the lead singer again is very present here, and the playing styles between him and the guitars and everybody else that's kind of playing within it, it creates such a really great atmosphere of music that's very, very passionate, right? Like, right near the end point of that that chorus, we have just that belting out, and everybody's all playing towards that end goal. The only problem is when it gets back into the main verses, I don't know, it kind of feels like it loses a little bit of steam, just how powerful that chorus was. And then straight from here, we come into A Journey to Nowhere, and again, it starts off very somber, and even throughout most of this track, it's that very intimate and very somber, and it's like the most intimate we've heard from the band thus far. And it's a great kind of touchstone because it is the 5th track of 10. There hasn't really been any real stopping, and so here we're kind of let down to a full stop so that we can enter into the second half of the album. And once we enter the second half, oh boy, does it start. It starts off with that really meaty drum work that really sets that heart pace. And I love that sound. And I don't know if it's a guitar or a keyboard, but it's that meow, meow, meow. And I don't know, there's just something that I'm just like, yes. And I love the fact that it ends the song with that. I'm just like, there it is. There it is. Which is followed up with Blacker, and I like how the black goes to Blacker and then follows it up with a Blackest. I love these 3-piece songs where you have an introduction, a middle kind of interlude that's just purely instrumental, and then a full-on like revitalization. And I love the transition between Blacker and Blackest with just being that very interesting drum beat that's transitioning from Blacker, where Blacker had come from, and the context that we have with that beat fitting that time signature, but then moving into the other time signature with the beat staying the same. Just fantastic of how they were able to tie that all together. And it's interesting that Blackest is the shortest track off the album. It isn't quite the heaviest track, even with the song being Blackest, but it definitely has some of the harder hitting moments on it, being the Blackest. Operation Cairo being the longest track off the album is kind of in my mind, it's almost one of the weaker tracks off of it. I don't feel like it's really justified of being so long because, I don't know, it doesn't really add too much new to the album at this point, especially from where we've come from. But it does a good job of kind of getting us ready for the finale of this album, which is From Afar. And I just love From Afar. It's probably my favorite track off this album, and I love the fact that it ends the album. I don't know if it necessarily gave us a really great punctuation, like that period that really solidified the ending, but I love that meaty middle play out that's very akin to like a Pink Floyd play out, where it's got that really heavy driven bass line that's really sat down, and it builds into almost like this David Gilmour styling of guitar work. And I don't know, it really reminds me of that Pink Floyd play out, but it does a fantastic job. That, I don't know, I just love that it ends the album on such a note, even if when we get to the end of the album I keep thinking, is this really the end? Because I'm expecting more just with how they ended it. So I don't know, even though it ends with the strongest piece, I still wish that the end of the album actually like ended. So overall, this album is a great time and one that I found myself really, really digging. As I'm listening to it, I'm still getting into the grooves and I'm still having a good time. Overall, I probably would have to say download this album. This is one that you'll want to have on your computer. If you're looking for something new in terms of the progressive metal and you haven't listened to these guys yet, definitely give it a spin. It's one that I enjoy, but it doesn't really add too much to the metal scene, outside of just providing some great music. So that's about it for me for Anubis' Gate latest album of Covered in Black. What did you guys think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know of your own thoughts about this album by commenting down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.